Hey everyone, welcome back to Inventing Construction. I'm Ross Griffin, and today we have Elia Gonzalez-Salas to join us, and we're going to talk about AI trained with historical data. It's a big topic and super interesting. Subtopics today are historical bias when it comes to AI, examples seen in the industry today, getting the same crap just with AI, very controversial, and how do we overcome this? So obviously, it's a lot about AI, but Elia, welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Elia Gonzalez, and I've been working in the construction industry for over a decade. Quite interested or shifted my interest in all these years of my career towards digital and technology and innovation and all the fun. That stuff comes when you are trying to make the most conservative industry a little more
innovative, I guess.
Like modernize it. Try the huge opportunities. That's when you start with a blank canvas, the opportunities are endless. So it's an easy one actually to target.
But so trying to innovate the industry. In what way, though, in your career, are you trying to innovate the industry then?
I would say that the easiest way for someone who is an aficionado, let's say, because after all, my background is in construction. So my vision only goes as far as everything that I experience on my regular life. I don't have a dedicated career or the like in computer science or any other industry that will allow me to implement advanced technology or innovation. But again, because the opportunities are endless, I think it is just enough to actually make changes. So I consider to make the industry more technological, more innovative, to at least achieve to implement the technology that is already available in other industries. In our day-to-day life, smart things, assistants with already made tools, rather than maybe make them or customize them for the field that we are working in. There is a million technologies and tools that are already out there solving other problems that are perfectly applicable to the work we do in construction today.
Okay, so applying some applications to digitize a process or streamline a process or to become more efficient in that process. But not really reinventing the app, but just using what's available to
Not for now, of course, that is always there. But when you have limited resources and time and knowledge, that's a good beginning.
Yeah, and a lot of the time in construction, I guess we do have limited time because it's always time pressure to deliver the project, to deliver the task. There's very little time allowed for innovation and research and development because maybe the funds aren't there within the industry,
And not only research or development, it's also to make the team comfortable with a change in their process. So also get to actually be more efficient with the new methods or the new technologies you are working with, so that everybody embrace the change and actually see the value on that. The team, the client, everybody involved.
I liked a couple of weeks back when we were looking at even PowerPoint or Excel or Microsoft Word and looking at the little efficiencies already inbuilt in those programs to help you streamline and your output, whether it's reports or presentations or making sure that brand awareness, you're getting the same brand across them. I thought that's not something that we're creating, but it's already available to us that could really innovate your process.
Yeah, you don't really need to go advanced. There is it's about actually training the professional teams or like the bodies, the human resource in the construction industry to utilize tools to a level that is already used in other fields, in other industries. The legal, the marketing, they are great. The sales, other industries of the like.
But getting back to our main topic today, so AI trained with historical bias. There's it's a hot topic today. AI is everywhere. Suddenly we're in the case of 2 years, everybody's talking about AI. It's like sustainability. It's just absolutely everywhere. But there's a funny reality that you brought to the table a couple of months ago about AI is something that needs to be trained. It's something that we humans train, and it's based on the information available to it within the internet, or within the Internet of Things. So explain to us then what this historical bias is when we talk about bias within AI.
We train it, and I would also like to say that it learns.
Yeah.
AI learns.
Yeah.
And sometimes it goes raw.
Yeah.
For someone who doesn't know so much about this industry, I have the feeling that sometimes when it goes wrong, it's actually hard to bring it back to the path, unless you have put implemented measures to prevent this happening. Yeah. So to train AI, we use historical data. Why? Because it needs to understand the context. It needs to have certain directions of what you expect from it, what it's available to it to work with. I mean, pretty much like humans, right?
Right.
So
I was just thinking of a baby here.
Basically, your background or your learnings depend on the textbook you have and how good your teachers are. Of course, your motivation also might be part of it, but in that regard, the motivation of, AI is not that it has a motivation, but it will have a success rates, and the more it learns, the more it will be implemented or not. And I think that the boom of AI came, it's been there for decades, like so many years, like it's there, but it's not been really discussed or considered till the GPT came available through OpenAI and so on. So once these large language models became available and generative models were offered as open for others to use, that's when we started seeing it applied to our everyday, and we could confirm that it worked. But it was trained with the limited data till 1 year, and that was it had been taught to, I think it was 2019 or 2020, if I remember correctly. So that was the limit, and nothing further from there. It was the basis of knowledge of this AI GPT.
So you mentioned that up until 2019. ChatGPT with OpenAI was being trained, but after 2019 or 2020, there was no training. It was then self-learning or self-training, I guess.
It's not exactly. So that was the first model that was offered to the public, and then now they've released the newer versions, GPT-4 and so on, and that one contains the knowledge of the years or till today, right? It's up to date, and they of course need to make milestones or periods of stop, because then the information is endless. But what I wanted to say is that it's trained, and that's based on available information on the internet. But if you want it to be very specific for an industry or for a field, you need to train it yourself. So if you ask very technical questions to it, you are going to get generic questions or explanations of what it may have learned from the internet, but it may not have deep knowledge of what you are specifically asking it to do, especially if it's a very technical task or the like, right? So if you ask it about construction materials, it will only give you generic things and not so much of what you really want. So we need to train AI to absorb deep knowledge of the specific profession we wanted to master. Or the specific task we wanted to have for the basis of the knowledge, but also to make it, to give direction of the outcome that we expect and the process that it needs to follow to achieve that outcome. Now, what's happening in construction? We've been very little digital till date. Everything it's been in paper. What is digital is not very accurate, or I wouldn't rely on that, because you don't really know the versions, who has compiled that information. It's like history. Whoever writes history ends up with a different story. So it's the same with construction, and specifically applied to construction budgets and an economy. There is very poor traceability of the information that is going through a project, through all the lives, all the stages of a project and the entire life cycle of a project. Even today, which we will believe that we are using digital tools and so on, but
not really.
Because we are not very consistent with naming conventions and
standards
BEAM and
and
the
so
common
on,
data
exactly.
environment is still very loose, and eventually a machine will be able to maybe join the dots. But as per today, the information is still very poor and not very with a low reliability score.
So when you then say historical bias, it's really the learning of the AI and the training that it has been given by humans is based on the information that has been collected. And if we're taking the construction industry with a very low quality of information, it means two things, I get. One is that, well, our information is still very poor, so the answers you're getting back maybe aren't as accurate. And secondly, if your information is poor quality and wrong, you're also potentially getting a wrong answer from when you use AI to solve problems.
Or maybe, yes, wrong, or maybe more of the same, which we know that is not maybe the direction we want to take, because we would like to improve it. So when we give AI centuries and centuries of the same, we haven't been innovative, so we are very conventional, we are very traditional. The way we build is exactly the same. The way we track, the way we manage the teams, the labor, materials, everything has had so little change over centuries. It's nowadays that maybe we are like breaking a little the direction, but we risk AI being biased towards what it seems to be the way. The way it's been done for centuries. Therefore, the new thing is risky. The new thing is unknown, uncertainty. We don't have 50 years of that material in construction to actually understand it is a good material to choose. It is a good method of construction. And therefore, the information to support success rate is very low as well.
Technically don't use it just
so technically don't use it. It's risky, or there might be consequences. I cannot give you full answers. So the way AI works is that it gives you a score. And that score, so like till date, we've been making decisions without really a lot of information behind, more like based on feelings, based off human knowledge or experiences of humans. But this is changing in the way that AI works with the statistics, and it gives you a number. So if you have a project that AI has designed, or an element of that project, or you say, based on historical data, supported by centuries of data and decades of this material works, this way of construction works, this building is still there, little maintenance, many like very robust outcome, let's say. And it gives you 90% robustness, this is gonna last, this is good, this is safe, this is good for the insurance company.
Suddenly we're building rubble stone again, and
like concrete blocks or whatever, right? And it was on budget because it's ABC, people know how to do it, very robust in many different ways. Quality, time, cost, budget, materials, everything. But also it gives you an alternative that is based on modern methods of construction, that requires training of the personnel to execute because it's new, that has new materials that have been tested but not over time because we haven't been there. Or whatever you could think of disrupting the traditional conservative way of working. And it gives you a very low score of reliability and robustness because, of all these missing data to support the decision of choosing that. We are going to face a challenge. So AI may not be biased in the way that is only generating more of the same. Could also define an outcome to do less of the same. But it will come with a ratio, it will, or with a score, of
high risk value,
risk or
cost,
success,
time,
whatever, and now we face a dilemma because we as humans need to choose one or the other. The insurance companies, of course, will also may take advantage of this technology. The contractor that has to take responsibility for that will probably also take advantage of this score. So now who takes the responsibility of taking one decision or the other?
Yeah.
Do we want new or do we want safe and secure?
Yeah.
Today we do that without a number. We do that based on feelings. Oh, we want this to be, to be outstanding. We want to be an emblem. We want to be symbolic. We want, to be architecturally designed. Like we want to be more sustainable. That when it comes to number, that decision might be harder to make.
And it is today in our traditional process when we've all been on the projects that have started off with the strategy of to be the most sustainable, to get the highest certification, to be the on time, on budget, highest quality. We've been on. Everybody has started a project in that nature, but suddenly we realize that the most sustainable is going to cost you more, or it's going to take you longer, and suddenly, well, you're changing direction slightly, then aren't you on that strategy? So it seems like that we're not in a position for AI to offer solutions, but just for AI to qualify certain components or to validate some information that is necessary for us.
AI can have, and there is a lot of discussions around this, right? But the AI can have a different point of view, can be creative in the way that can disrupt, can offer crazy ideas that we couldn't even think of or consider. But it gives you a number behind. So, it might actually be into consideration if you can support that with backup data of, we didn't think of that to be possible, but actually, we have numbers to support it. So in that regard, it could actually be an advantage, right? But in regards to new solutions, and I think we've discussed this in a previous podcast with Roger, it could also fall into same as we humans, professionals in construction tend to go for the same solutions we know because we feel comfortable with them, because we know they are good for certification. So we could always use the same materials to be more sustainable. So it potentially may happen the same with AI, that it tends to go to the same materials, to the same solutions that are widely used. Because it's the ones where there is more information, more data, more supporting thing.
So have we got examples in the industry today where we have experienced this, or you've experienced it as an individual, or you've heard companies have experienced this? It might not be construction related, for example. It could be other aspects of where AI
quite an interesting case that I think is used in a lot of talks and conferences. So you may have heard about it, but it is related to the recruiting industry, and this is what makes me think, as a non-specialist in the matter, that it's probably not so easy to make AI change the way it operates, because they actually had to cancel the application of this AI into the recruiting process. It concerns a huge shipping company, Amazon. They wanted to dig for profiles available online that may not have submitted their CV. So it was a bit of hunting for potential key assets or key profiles. And they trained their model based on their historical data of personnel, the CVs of the personnel, and what they wanted to look for, what they didn't want it to be, etc. I would like to believe that the humans that trained it didn't fall into inducing the bias into the AI. It was more that the data available had this percentage. So what ended up happening is that the AI automatically filtered out women and gave higher score to men. White men happen to be surprise, like crazy. We've seen this in many other cases as well. Because historically, they seem to be the ones that Amazon was hiring. So there was a higher ratio of white men occupying technical positions and high level positions in the company, and therefore equals they must be the good ones to have. So
the most favorable and
the most favorable the good to have. And we've also seen this when in the current AI models, when you ask them the image generation, when you ask them for a profession, it automatically gives you. It sometimes accidentally happens to provide someone of an ethnic or a woman when you ask it to generate an image of a doctor. But there is a huge percentage of white men in the images, which also happens to correspond to a high ratio in our current, medicine high levels or legal,
or even our own industry,
the lawyers, construction, white men all over. So of course there is a huge ratio of high positions occupied by this profile, and therefore AI understands that they are the good ones for that position, because historically that's what's been there. So how do we break that chain of biasness? How do we tell it? No, ignore gender, ignore religion, ignore ethnicity, ignore so many other different, and that's the challenge I can see when applied to for example, construction. Don't score low sustainable solutions, but you cannot really say that, because it might be a score low because uncertainty, because they impact the budget, because they impact time. So how do you break that chain of bias? Even though you may give it instructions. I want this. I want you to follow this process. Give me information about what all these that you are considering, but don't rule it out. But when we build technology in construction that is backed by AI,
historical
data, but by AI, we really need to keep this in mind. Ethics and moral, and in this case,
but in that sense, we will have to continue to train AI to remove those human aspects that we want to actually filter out.
If you detect them, yes.
If you detect them.
Because some of them might be over time not so obvious, and it might be rolling out sustainable solutions that you don't even get to see because they were not even proposed or presented to you.
So with the development of AI and the training that needs to go into it, then we get to a potential possibility that we end up getting the same output, the same great crack.
What's the crack?
Yeah, the same crap, just with AI. In that case, we have a lot of work to do when it comes to AI, I would say, in terms of the training. A couple of years ago, we tried to look at cost plans, bills of quantities, and look at how could we automate the analysis of generic cost plans in Excel or PDF and so on. And we found that quite difficult because of the unstructured approach to it, etc. So were we going to get any value out of that, or was it just the same crap just with AI, right?
I think we didn't lose hope because we kept those files. We believe data is a treasure, so we kept them hoping for technology to develop in other industries, because construction is not investing into developing these models to dig and hunt and collect all this data. So we are hoping for other industries to develop this technology to allow us to harvest all the data we have in PDFs, in Excel files that is totally unstructured, built in different systems, different standards, sometimes absolute mess that will require a lot of validation, probably, from a human person. But it is there. It is there available. Now, is that the best data to actually make an AI model to be disruptive or to improve the future? I don't know. Maybe we could use it as, don't do this. This is bad.
What value are you going to get from it?
Maybe, but we are, and can we rely on that data to be accurate? I don't know. I don't know if I will even see that on my lifetime. I mean, things are going very fast, so maybe. But the people that put together those collections of data and cost and cost plans and everything probably are not there to give the supporting information that currently is missing on those documents, because that's one of the challenges. We have a lot in paper, a lot in the archive, and a lot more was lost in minutes of meetings that didn't have. Maybe there were mails, but they are not collected. There was no common data environments at that time. So it's in someone's computer that has been reset and now it's gone. But there is a lot of data to support the quality and to support the data of these cost plans that is gone. It's gone. That project was, what was the procurement strategy of that project? If it's not written on the report that accompanies the cost plan. So it's going to be a lot of data, very little accuracy or reliability on it.
So can we even trust any of the information we're getting from it? You mentioned at the very early stage of our discussion here is actually, if it's generic, if you're asking generic questions on ChatGPT or whatever, then and you're looking for generic answers, then it can assist you. But if you're looking for really technical responses to a very technical question relating to architecture, engineering, or something like that, then more than likely your response won't be something you could trust.
Unless you have trained to it and defined your expectation and so on. So every industry has different silos, and they are training these models as open, but of course with available data. But there is a lot of data that is in the company's archives that is not published there. There is very, very little transparency. Even when you look at the cost plans from the public entities, what you get is the final figure. But what do you do with that? You know, what is included? What do you? What was that covering, and if was that the budget or not? Like, you don't really have enough backup information available online. So it comes to data owned by companies, and then all the companies, we will start training our own models. Is that how it's going?
No,
and
that
then
can't be that way.
all companies will also be
it's on different structure.
Be managing the ethics and morals of this AI, so it doesn't fall into bias on different categories. It's going to be challenging. We'll have to join efforts, and again, we need an entity, probably a body, to coordinate all these efforts from all the different companies, to regulate, but also to try to establish, standardize, but also like improve their resources dedicated to this. We don't have time, we don't have budgets, we don't have, for this type of development, and therefore it would make even less sense if all the companies do that independently. It would be a waste of resources that we don't have.
You end up getting an industry with so many standards that there's nothing standardized. You can't work with the information across organizations. So where is the real value in that? It has to be somewhat open sourced to a certain degree. At least that we would see the future being that way. But again, we're using the same kind of tagline here, getting the same crap just with AI. When we talk about sustainability and the analysis of sustainability, that sustainability is a very kind of new, I'll go back, it's not new. It has been around for decades now. It's just that
it's a new requirement.
We now need to do something as an industry. Legally and morally, and report from a reporting perspective. So thank God that's happened. But we don't have any historical information on this.
We are now forced to break that chain that we are raising as an issue with AI. So we humans have been on the comfortable field of doing everything, all of the same, because that's what we know worked, was not sustainable. Now we need to implement sustainability, which is new in the way that new methods, new materials, new thinking of the construction process and the life cycle of the asset, of the physical asset, more conscious. And so we need to break that chain on our construction processes. It's going to be the same for AI. But what I want to raise is that it will give us a score, and we will have to make a decision with that
ourselves,
as well. But yes, I don't really know what are the possibilities of implementing AI. Will it design for us? Potentially, most likely, we will offer us different outcomes. It already does. If you ask it, give me options for a facade, it already gives you different designs and make it look like this atmosphere, and it gives you, different styles depending on the parameters you or the vibe you want it to look like. So it will be the same, I presume, with
it should be. We could link cost and carbon and all of that to it, and time and everything. You should be able to get an automated output at an early stage in the project life cycle, or even further down the project life cycle, if we can structure our information now as we're.
It will be a very powerful tool, and I believe in it. It's just that it will need to have a close monitoring, and it needs to be built by people who understand that this could be an issue, this could be a bias. It's someone that takes this into account when building these models.
So that's more of collaboration between the industry and another industry, like people that are developing AI models right now might not necessarily be from the construction industry, but that's a good thing. But also maybe there's advice needed from the construction industry to make sure we don't fall into those biases.
We don't want it to penalize uncertainty, but of course we want to be informed of it. But the more, this is like always. If you have very poor project information, very poor management in a project, the outcome is going to be of the like. So it will be the same. We are feeding it a lot of traditional and conventional information with repetitive issues, repetitive challenge, to the point that AI may understand that that's actually the norm in mind, that it only suggests the over budget projects, because that must be the good thing, because it's always like that. I would like to see that.
So keep making the same mistakes becomes actual how you should deliver projects, right?
It should be this way, because it always happens.
Over budget and over time.
If it's on budget and on time, this data is out of the chart, so you may actually exclude it out of the data set, because it's out of the range of normality.
So
that could be a good one.
Project success is a no, because we can't do that. That's not normal. We won't do that.
This is
right?
abnormal.
This
is out of any parameters that I've been given. This must be wrong data.
And I think it's like 2%. So there's definitely, and if you're looking at the other 98%, you'll be looking at that going, that must make sense.
But it will be very sad to train a model in only a 2% of the entire data set, just because it's the only 2% that is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
The less data it has to support, the less accuracy it also gives. So how could we actually expect a good outcome when the data set of the good projects is so reduced? It gives a lot of thought of how bad we've been doing over so many years, that we haven't implemented a strong solution for this, and it happens again and again. If we took all the over budgets over all this, just 10 years, let's not go back so much, only 10 years, wouldn't we have been able to develop the processes, the tools, the most advanced AI model ever? Because construction projects over budget is huge over budget. It's not like an over budget of buying your barbecue party and go a little over budget. No, the percentage of over
it's billions.
Is billions and billions. And global, because we build the same way everywhere in the world, and we more or less follow different regulations, different standards. But in the end, it's for the same, to prevent fire, to prevent acoustics, to prevent, and today to improve sustainability for a better world to live on.
The reality of it is, and we all know the projects that we work on, we all know the people that we work with on the projects, and just human nature is always going to prevent us from doing something different because of, again, historical biases, or I don't want to change my mindset, or the fact is, I believe I know best, so we're going to do it in this nature.
There are sad prospects in regards to humans will train AI as well. So can we expect anything better than that? That's something
that's worrying
and sad. Because we are blaming it now on human nature. We need to break generations so that the new generations will come with more technology and more driven to innovation and change the way we do things. we rely on breaking the knowledge of the cycle of humans, but humans are finite. They are ephemeral. They have an expiration date.
Yeah.
We all go.
Yeah.
But,
at some point, yeah.
But AI may not.
Yeah.
AI may stay there forever.
If it keeps growing and learning, I guess.
But AI doesn't have an expiration date unless you reset and ask it to delete, I don't know, Terminator, the movie. I don't know. But it could be there forever. Yeah. And will it learn from our mistakes and improve them? Or will actually, ensure they prevail for life? Yeah. Across generations, and when new generations come, will actually fall into the same mistakes because it's the tool available to them again and again.
But the new generation are being taught by the older generation, and the older generation have the bias, and then the new generation have the bias unless they sit down and create their own.
The older generation train the tool that will be there and will never be renewed because there is never budget on time or time to improve it. No.
So, because I think we're at the beginning of such a journey here that who knows what the future will hold. But our kind of final part, and we've discussed this a little bit, is how do we overcome this bias within AI? But the only way we can do that is with good quality data information and the training out of these biases from the data.
Or just to be aware of these things. So it's a field, again, that the construction professionals know very little about. Yeah. We will rely on other industry professionals to develop these things for the construction industry. And those external people may not be aware of, first of all, the quality of the data or the challenges that we have gone through. Again and again, all these topics that we are discussing today, they may not be aware of a potential bias against sustainability because it means over budget. They don't need to know that that has consequences, negative consequences on budget or time, or does it? Maybe we are thinking it totally wrong, and we are applying sustainability in the wrong way, and there are smarter ways to do that. But it will be professionals that are not in depth into all these elements, but the construction professionals won't be aware of all the challenges that the developing these models may bring. So I think there will need, first of all, to have cross collaboration, very constant awareness of these as a risk that we need to mitigate before we go live with any tools that will make our life more efficient. Yeah. Everybody will see the value. Everybody will start using them. And then how you change them, how you actually remove them from the market, like Amazon had to do with their internal tool for hunting key profiles. Yeah. They did that. I presume they couldn't fix the issue they were having on constant bias in the algorithm and the results, the outcome they were getting. Will a company that is making profit will actually remove that tool because it's incurring in this bias when the entire industry has jumped into it eager because is what is available to us and is making profit for them as well. And I guess it's a lot of ifs. It's how we solve this, being aware of it, and raising questions and challenge
and qualifying
and not relying not relying completely in all these.
Using it as a support function initially or a validation, but making sure that the information you're receiving is. But
not to leave it out either. I think there is huge potential, and I think that we will learn a lot from error. We will need to discover what other challenges we will fall into.
Excellent. Well, Elia, thank you very much for the discussion on AI, and thank you guys for listening and recording and having the fans and everything there to keep us cool, while we push out the pressure. Any comment? No comment. Thanks very much for listening. There's a LinkedIn link below in the show notes. We would love to connect with you.
We hope you enjoyed it and have you with us in the next one. Thank you very much.